Cool. Hello, everyone. I'm Ben Grumiko from InterNACHI, and with us tonight we have our honorable guest, InterNACHI's legal counsel, Mark Cohen. Thank you, Mark, for taking some time out of your schedule to be here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Before we get started with, let's go over the 14 steps.
All right.
To help an inspector avoid lawsuits. And I have them up on screen for you so you can see and go along with them. But first is you join InterNACHI.
You join InterNACHI.
I like that stat.
Well, there's a lot of benefits to that InterNACHI offers, and I know that the members are familiar with that. Nick does a pretty good job of making the members aware of all the different benefits that they get. But from a legal standpoint, you know, when you perform an inspection, you are evaluated against the standard of care. So what's the standard of care? Well, in some cases that may be defined by state law, but oftentimes it's going to be the standards of practice of InterNACHI. You know, so if you have a standard that you adhere to, that's evidence that you can use that you adhere to the standard in the industry. So I think that's one of the things that's really important is NACHI's standards of practice.
And to say that you abide by the substantially abide by the standards of practice gives you a really strong defense against a claim.
Yes.
So you really should also have that in your agreement system. We'll talk about that later as well.
Well, yeah, it's in the standard InterNACHI agreement that the agreement will be performed in accordance with InterNACHI standards of practice. Yep. Now, of course, that has to be varied in some states, but
yep.
But yeah, that's important.
Okay, the second one is incorporate. Why should a home inspector incorporate?
Well, hopefully every home inspector has assets. They have a house, they have bank accounts, they have automobiles, maybe they have investments. When you do a home inspection as a sole proprietor and someone has a claim against you, all your personal assets are potentially there to satisfy any judgment that's entered against you. So in American law, which evolved from English common law, became the concept of the corporation and the limited liability that comes with incorporation. So in other words, if I incorporate, I have my liability limited to the corporation. They have to come after the corporation, not against me personally. There's some exceptions to that, but the idea with corporation or an LLC, it's the same thing, is to have limited liability. So they have to go after the assets of your corporation or your LLC and not after your personal assets.
A lot of home inspectors, they're the one-man shop. I mean, they're the only person, they're the sole inspector. So a lot of home inspectors think, oh, I'm the sole inspector, maybe I should be a sole proprietor. And that's not good. Yeah,
I don't think that's a good idea. It costs virtually nothing to incorporate or to form an LLC. I prefer an LLC for a single member home inspector. It's a little bit easier. You just because with an LLC you don't have to file a separate tax return. You can just put a Schedule C on your personal tax return. So yeah, really no excuse not to incorporate or form an LLC.
Okay, let's keep moving. Number 3 would be take every one of InterNACHI's online courses. Now that has something to do with education. How's that a legal aspect?
Well, if there's ever a claim against you and you end up going to court, hopefully that doesn't happen, but one of the things you want to be prepared to show is that you're a good inspector. Well, how do you show that? You show that by showing that you are a professional, that you stay educated in your field. So your attorney can, and God forbid that happens that you're in a lawsuit and it actually goes to a trial, but if you have all these certificates showing all the different classes that you've taken, that really makes you look like a good home inspector, somebody who stays up on their profession.
And also to take those courses before any claim arises, not after.
Right. Doesn't do any good if you try to educate yourself after the lawsuit is filed.
Okay, step 4, sign up for InterNACHI's Counsel on Call. That's a new thing that InterNACHI.
Yeah, this is something that InterNACHI just started offering. We're still working on it. But the idea was that members that sign up for it would be able to call me and have me review their inspection agreement, call me if they have a claim against them, and get some advice, while things are hot. So that's the idea behind that.
And the idea, again, just like the education thing, you sign up now before a claim arises so that it can be covered by that service. it's not an afterthought.
Yeah, you can't come back after it's already happened and then sign up for the program. So.
And if I call the phone number, I get you.
You should get me. I mean, I won't. Obviously, I've got to sleep at night, so we turn off the phone at night. But it rings to my phone.
Okay, number 5. If you're going to hire a helper, use a contract.
Yeah, you know, a lot of inspectors get into a situation where they've got other people working with them, and there's no legal document that really makes clear what the relationship between the two of them is, and that can lead to a host of problems. You can see some of them on the bullet points there on the screen. You have people claiming that that they're an employee, that you should have withheld taxes from them, and all of that stuff. So
it's just as important as the contract that I have between me and my client, my home inspection, my home buying client, that I have a contract also with anybody that I deal with in my business. I should have an agreement where all the expectations are set and written down, we agree. There are no surprises that can bite my business later on.
Yeah, because lawsuits often arise from misunderstandings. You know, one person has one view of things and another person has another view of things. And the reason that they weren't on the same page is there was no written agreement that made clear exactly what the agreement was going to be.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have something in writing.
Okay, number 6, turn away some consumers. Well, that doesn't sound right.
Well, you know, I'm sure every inspector out there who's done it for a while has had the experience with a problem, what I call a problem client. You know, I have it as a lawyer sometimes. There are just some people who are difficult, and there are some people who are not going to be satisfied no matter what. And if you have a gut, my belief is, if you have a gut feeling at the start of things that this isn't going to work out right, that it's probably better to just abandon ship at that point and avoid the relationship, because it's only going to get worse.
And sometimes you get that feeling from the representative of the potential client, the agent. You get a bad rub against the agent. Sometimes it's good to say no to the agent as well.
Yeah.
In my experience. Number 7, use InterNACHI's pre-agreement inspection agreement. And we have that as a free online agreement system.
Yeah, you know, a lot of work went into this agreement, and I'm very mindful of the fact that clients get scared when you hand them long contracts. So we really worked hard to keep this down to one page. But there's a lot of important things in it. And again, this goes to the point of preventing misunderstandings with clients. If you have a contract that you can, it's going to be Exhibit A in any lawsuit. What was the contract? What did you agree to do, and what did you agree not to do? And so by having a definition of the scope of the inspection, and disclaimer of warranties, the limitation of liability, a provision for attorney's fees, so that if you win your lawsuit, that the client has to pay your attorney's fees.
And it also refers to the standards of practice that we referred to before.
Right, right. It says that the inspection will be done in accordance with InterNACHI standards of practice, and you know, they can go online and look at what the standards of practice are.
Yeah. And also, it's totally customizable. So if you have a state-specific legal issue, you can customize this agreement system. But this is a great template to start with.
Right. I really think it covers all the bases. Obviously, we got 50 states and territories and Canada and whatnot, so there may need to be some modification of it depending on a particular state. But it's a really good checklist to use of the things that ought to be in your agreement.
Yep. Number 8. Purchase this. I even have one. Right? The stay back, stop, stay back sign. How does that help me avoid lawsuits?
Well, the question is going to be, if somebody gets injured because of an inspection, they're going to go after whoever they can go after. And one person they might go after is the inspector. And they're going to claim the inspector was negligent for not putting up a sign or not giving a warning of some kind about the danger. So in injury cases, that's a big claim. A lot of times is you didn't give me notice that there was a dangerous condition. So having the sign there is just a common sense thing that a person can do to show that they are paying attention to safety issues, and it's real good evidence if there's ever a claim against you that you
did your best.
Did your best.
I've been into many vacant homes. I tend to get there early, and sometimes it's a crawl space, and the access to the crawl space is in the floor, and so there's no one in the home. I'm down in the crawl space, and then my client comes and they're looking for me. I don't want them to fall in that hole, so this sign would be a really good thing. Another one would be on my ladder. I don't want anybody following me up to the roof on my ladder. This sign actually fits in between the ladder rungs.
Yeah, Murphy's Law comes into play a little bit. What can go wrong will go wrong, and you may not expect a client or even a, who knows, somebody shows up unexpectedly, so it's just a good idea to give everybody notice.
I also take a picture of it too. I don't put the picture in my inspection report necessarily, but I have it as an archive that I took this step to keep everyone safe. And then number 9 is taking more pictures. We have the idea of taking a picture of the water meter, because the water meter shows the amount of where the water was at the time of the inspection, where the actual gallons amount was, and it's to help prevent anyone claiming water damage against me.
Well, water damage claims are a pretty big component. If you took all claims against home inspectors, water damage claims would be a big part of it, and they're big money. Typically, they're big money claims because of the nature of the damage. So, taking a picture of the water meter before, during, and after the home inspection is a good thing to do to protect yourself from claims if there was a leak.
Yep. Number 10, write your reports properly with InterNACHI Library of Narratives.
Yeah, in any lawsuit against a home inspector, I said Exhibit A would be the agreement. Exhibit B is probably going to be the report. And
it should be written well.
It should be well written. It should be thorough, and most importantly, it should identify to the client, issues of concern or things that need to be followed up on, or things that are not known. So that using the narratives that InterNACHI has come up with is designed to address that issue.
It should be clearly, easy to read, clear to understand, plain language kind of narratives.
Yeah, I've been in court where the report was well written, and we prevailed because there was a well written report that clearly put the homeowner on notice of things that of the way that things were.
Yeah.
So very important.
Number 11, include InterNACHI's estimated life expectancy chart with every report.
Sometimes I think people get a home inspection and they believe that it's a guarantee that's going to last forever. It means that nothing's going to go wrong with their home ever. And so you have to kind of educate the client a little bit about that and just remind them that it's not a guarantee. So by giving them this life expectancy chart, there's a statement on it that there is no guarantee or warranty.
Yep. And things simply break down. They gain entropy and they fail.
And it's good to remind clients of that so that they have the right mindset.
Yep. The next one, number 12, is to use InterNACHI's home maintenance book now that you've had a home inspection in English and Spanish.
Yeah, similar thought there. Again, it's a matter of educating the client and managing their expectations so that if something does go wrong down the road, they don't think, the first person I'm going to sue is the home inspector. So again, it's managing the client, educating the client, and managing their expectations.
I think in my opinion, if I give a ton of information to my client, I've done all that I can. I really shouldn't hold back anything. So if there's a product or a service that I can give that helps educate, provide a ton of more information, more than I can write at the time of the inspection, because I'm in a small window of time trying to write my report. If I can hand them a book, that helps. Providing my client more information helps me.
And again, that could also be another exhibit in a lawsuit as well. So.
Yep. Number 13, use InterNACHI's client satisfaction survey. Something I give to my client, asking them, how did I do?
Yeah, this could be really important because what you want, of course, is the client to say that you did fine, that it was excellent. Because if you get that from the client right away, then it becomes very difficult for the client to make a credible claim against you later on down the road. Because if they do, you go back and you show them the survey they filled out that said what an excellent job that you did. So that can be real important in court, very persuasive.
Yep. If you settle dispute, you should get a signed release.
Yeah.
Not just a handshake and say, oh, it's done.
it's very tempting sometimes to enter into a handshake deal where you just say you're going to refund part of the fee or all of the fee in return for an agreement not to pursue it. But sometimes clients have second thoughts about that, or maybe some lawyer puts an idea in their head. Well, you got a better case than you thought you did, and you can go against the home inspector. So here's a poor home inspector who refunded the fee and thought that was going to take care of it.
Yeah.
Take care of it. So in our society, maybe it shouldn't be this way, but it is. We've got to protect ourselves legally. So getting a signed release whenever you settle a claim.
Yeah, and we have a free copy that people can download. Inspectors can download a general release.
Yeah, there is a release on the website. I've been told that a few people have said it's a little bit too legalistic, so I'm going to try to work on rewriting that and making that more of a plain English document.
Thank you. Okay.
We have it.
Awesome. So that's the 14 steps that help home inspectors avoid lawsuits. We have some questions, and one of them is, do you have time for some questions?
Yeah.
It's Jenny. She asks, and some of these questions we might not be able to answer because it's state-specific stuff, but Jenny asks, I am required to put a license number on all of my marketing materials, pens, magnets, chips. Am I required? I know that Texas, some states require you. It says in the regulations that if you market yourself as a licensed home inspector, you have to have your number there, license number and everything.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't answer that question because I think it's going to be state specific. My general broad answer would be no. I mean, there's no federal law or no common law principle that says that you've got to put your license number on all your marketing materials. I mean, you might want to for marketing purposes because maybe it makes you look more official and more legitimate. But if there's a state out there that requires it, you're gonna have to look at the state law on that.
Thanks, Jenny. Scott says, can you please slow down a bit? Sorry, Scott. Well, always remember that you can call Mark at, that was step number 4. So you can sign up for InterNACHI's Counsel on Call. And Mark is also on our message board. And you can also just ask questions on our message board to other inspectors as well. And if you'd like to play this video over again, it'll be recorded as well.
Yeah, I apologize if I talk too quickly.
Let's see. How important is E&O insurance? Dallas asks, how important is E&O insurance? I've heard that if you tell people that you have E&O insurance, they'll be more likely to sue you.
Yeah, I think there could be some truth to that. Look, insurance is nice to have. It's nice to have it if you can afford it. I tend to think that the first kind of insurance you want to get is general liability insurance because those are the claims that are an injury claim if somebody falls on a ladder or something like that.
Especially an employee of yours if they get hurt.
Insurance can be a good thing to have. There's the argument that it does make you more of a target for a lawsuit, and that's the nature of the beast. If you can afford it, I know there are some good agents out there that NACHI has relationships with that are discussing insurance with people.
If anyone else has questions, you can ask them now, or you can go to, or otherwise we're going to wrap up and say thanks to Mark Cohen, but I wanted to take you to this URL. It's nachi.org/counsel on call with hyphens in between. Counsel on call, nachi.org/counsel on call. And that's where Mark is and his Counsel on Call service. And you can sign up today, and you can also get some additional information about that service. Are there any questions to anyone else attending the webinar? If not, Mark, do you have anything to say at the end?
No, I just appreciate having worked for NACHI, InterNACHI for so long, and have a lot of experience with I get calls all the time, and have quite a bit of experience with dealing with home inspectors, and I'm aware of the problems that they face. And it's an interesting business because an inspector doesn't make a lot of money per each inspection, and yet they subject themselves to huge potential liability every time they do an inspection. So Really want to try to help them stay on the right side of the law and avoid these lawsuits.
Wonderful. Let's see. We do have a question. If you'd like to
yeah,
say.
sure.
John says, in California, you must. I believe he's referring to having your license number in every piece of marketing. It's a state law to list your license number. However, there are no license requirements for a home inspector unless you make repairs. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. The state doesn't regulate home inspectors, but they require some marketing restrictions. BCS asks, do you know if Tennessee requires E&O insurance?
Yeah.
Well, that's a state-specific question, and I think we have the answer. We actually have a message board for Tennessee inspectors, and we also have a web page for Tennessee. It's nachi.org/Tennessee, and there's a link right there to your State Department website, and you can get answers right there. What level of insurance should I have for my LLC? I don't know if you can answer that, but Robert asked that. What type of level of insurance?
Yeah, I don't know that I can answer it with a specific dollar figure, but the question I would ask myself is, you know, for the coverage that's, you know, the typical claim out there might be several $100,000. If somebody claims I wouldn't have bought the house if you'd have told me the house had a certain condition, you know, therefore I want several $100,000.
Yeah.
So that's not unrealistic to say $250,000. So.
Nope. And it's also, there could be a state minimum as well. Let's see. There's more E&O insurance, a lot of E&O insurance questions. And upon vehicle, that's about it.
Okay. Well, you know, insurance companies are in the business of making money, and there's going to be times when they want to settle claims rather than fight them, even if you think that they shouldn't be settled. Yeah. So that's the nature of the insurance business, unfortunately. I don't know that I would say that insurance companies prefer to settle claims, but I mean, I think they take it's good to have an insurance professional look at the claim and make a decision about. You know, in some cases, it just makes more sense to settle them than it does to fight them because of the risk involved.
Yep. All right. I'm looking at. Oh, here's a question that I kind of like. Sheamus Parish. Hope I didn't mess up your name too much. I apologize. Asks, what's your opinion of going above the SOP?
Yeah, good question. You know, in a way, an inspector who goes above the SOP is to be encouraged for doing that. On the other hand, it's potentially a two-edged sword because the question might arise, well, why did you go above the SOP in this case and then not in some other scenario? So,
like, why did you walk on a roof on this house, but you state over here that you don't walk on any roofs?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So probably best to just follow the SOP, at least in report.
And if you're going to exceed the standards, make it uniform for all of your clients.
Yeah, and again, document everything in your report. If you exceed the standards, make sure you document it.
Charlie asks, can you discuss common stucco-related claims?
I can't.
Yeah. We have a fantastic online course, a couple of them, and other materials like checklists and things and field guides for inspecting stucco, if you'd like to take that. You can email me for that. Kevin says something about Tennessee requiring the license number in the marketing. Legal opinion about vehicle graphics. Do you have any legal opinion about graphics on the vehicle, about saying too much or something on your vehicle?
I'm not quite sure what the question is.
Yeah.
There can be tax reasons why you want to have graphics on your vehicle. If you want to claim it as a business vehicle, that might be one thing. You have to be careful. You know, I always tell people with advertising, you have to be careful because every kind of advertising that you do is potentially a promise that you made to somebody that they're going to sue you for breaking. So if you have a graphic on your vehicle that says, you know, the area's best home inspections, you know, that that may be something you want to use for marketing purposes, but it's also something that's going to be you're going to be held to if there's a claim against you.
Yep. Let's see. Paul says he couldn't read the 14 points in the video. Sorry, Paul. I tried to blow up the screen as much as possible. But this article has actually been written and is now available online in our article library. So you can go to nachi.org/articles to find that article, or you can email me later and I can send that information to you. And looking at all the questions, we have 4 more minutes with your time, Mark. I'm incorporated, let's see. John asks, I'm incorporated. If a lawsuit comes and names me, the inspector, as defendant, along with the corp, are my personal assets protected?
If you are named as an individual defendant in the lawsuit, then your personal assets are at risk. So one of the things that's going to be an issue in that lawsuit is, can they sue you personally?
Yeah.
And sometimes the way that they get around the corporate issue is they try to pierce the corporate veil and claim that the corporation is a sham, that they can sue you personally. Another way to get around it is to claim that you were professionally negligent, and in some states that'll get around the veil too. So yeah, if you're named personally, that's a concern, and you probably ought to hire a good attorney to deal with that issue. So.
Let's see. BCS asks, is a mission statement about providing peace of mind acceptable? Can it be used against you? A mission statement.
Yeah, you know, there's always this balance between what the inspector wants to do for marketing purposes, right? And what the lawyer wants for liability purposes.
Yeah, don't say anything.
So the answer is kind of yes. I think it is acceptable. It's a good mission statement to have, you know, and it's a good selling point for a client to want to have peace of mind. Could it be used against you? Yeah, possibly, but that's why we have these other things. That's why we have home inspection agreements and well-written inspection reports to show that you did provide peace of mind, that you did what you said you would do. So I wouldn't be too afraid of using something like that in a mission statement.
Okay. Here's a question about S-corps. Gabriel asks, I have an S-corp at this point in time. It is only my wife and me. Is this strong enough for protection, or do I need to go to a different type of corp?
Yeah, I think an S-corp is fine. That'd be the most common type of corporation for a home inspector to form. In fact, that's what I would encourage them to do. The other type of corporation, the C corporation, can get into a double taxation problem that most home inspectors don't want to deal with.
Alrighty. And we have 1 more minute. And let's see. Mark says, I'm in Quebec. A, does this apply to Canadian inspectors?
Yeah, I'm not licensed to practice law in Quebec, although I did spend a nice summer in Montreal one time. Enjoyed it very much. But I would say in general, yes. I mean, we're still dealing with standards of care and issues of proof as to what the agreement was. And those are the issues that come up. So even in a code jurisdiction, I think a lot of this applies.
And this 14 points that we went over is in our library of inspection articles, and that's at the URL nachi.org/articles, and you can scroll through that, and there'll be an article about avoiding lawsuits. If you can't find it, that's okay. You can just email any one of us at the office, or email me, ben@internachi.org. Mark, thank you very much for your time, sir, and thank you everyone for attending the webinar. And we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.